Alright, before starting off this video on my original Game Boy and Game Boy Color game collection, I would like to say that please check out my video game room tour. It is spectacular. Enjoy the video. So the first game that I have is Dragon Warrior Monster for the Game Boy. A lot of these games I've acquired over the years, either from yard selling or other places, like thrift shops, pawn shops, video game stores. Kirby's Dream Land. The next one is Hyper Load Runner. That was the price I paid for it years ago. Some of these have the prices. I kind of like keeping the prices on some of my games, but very few of them have that. The next game was Blade. This was a pretty hard game, not an easy game. So I played that a handful of times. Radar Mission, sorry. Absolutely a great game when I was a kid. Not so much now. WWF King of the Ring. Harvest Moon. Spawn. Rats. Absolutely love this game. Mole Mania. Mega Man. It's too bad the sticker is a little off-putting, little scuffed up, but that is a great game. Super hard game, but one of my first ever yard sale finds I ever found for Game Boy, other than the Pokemon games. Other than Pokemon games at a yard sale was Battletoads. Speaking of Pokemon games, Pokemon Crystal. This is just a loose version. Super Breakout. Battlezone. Adventure Island. Great game here. Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Next game is Crystal Quest. Everyone loves this game. Super Mario World. I got this from a yard sale from an old guy, and you would never think he'd have a Game Boy or anything video game related. He actually had this game and like 3 other games, so I picked that up. Next one is Worms Armageddon. This game I have tested and it actually works. It's Soul Striker, however, that is chipped up. I paid $1 for this at a yard sale. I recalled it like it was yesterday, but this was a game. Unfortunately, it's all broken up. But years ago, I actually had the box and the manual in crisp condition. I paid $1 for them, but I got rid of that game a long time ago. So now I'm looking back at it, and I wish I had kept it. Alright, next game is Harvest Moon 2. So that was number 1 I had, and number 2. Bugs Bunny, Crazy Castle. Next game's Dragon Lair. The artwork was really nice on this. Turok 2. Monster Rancher, Battle Cards. This was a great anime cartoon when it came out. It just sucked that The games weren't so great, although the PS1 game, a lot of people swear by it being a great game. Everyone's classic, Legends of Zelda: Ocarina of Ages. Legend of the River King. Toy Story. Next game is Godzilla. This was a fantastic cartoon growing up. I always wanted this on the Game Boy, or anything Godzilla related I always liked. But years later, I found this game, and I remember I was a kid, and I told my mom I wanted this game at Zeller's, but she said to me no. So it was really cool after all those years. I got it. A fantastic game for its time. Major League Baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. Absolutely loved this game growing up. Power Rangers for the Game Boy Color. Unfortunately, it's not the original OG Power Rangers. Grand Theft Auto on the Game Boy was a different experience. Obviously, not like what you played on PS1, but it did the job. Legends of Zelda: Ocarina of Seasons. Double Dragon. This was one of my favorite NES games when it was ported to the Game Boy. It didn't live up to that hype, but still it was a good game, and especially picking it up for $1 back then was great. Next game is Donkey Kong. Absolutely stellar, good game. You have to play this. Again, it is The Punisher. I remember trading a shit ton of games to a retro game store, and I ended up picking up for $33.99. This was like so long ago, or $32.99. It even has a tag there. But the cool thing was about this artwork is if you look really carefully, there's Spider-Man there. Again, from that same retro game store. I don't know why I used to go to those guys all the time. I used to find like trade bait stuff that give me next to nothing, but I would trade a mountain of games and I'd get some trade credit. And the next game was Mega Man 2, and that was like $42.99. Super hard game. I played it a handful of times and I stopped playing it. Fantastic game for the Game Boy, Metroid. Everyone's favorite game when they're growing up, Pokemon Blue. Next game is Pokemon Gold. I don't know why I have this in my collection, but it was a great game on the computer, not so much on the Game Boy, was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the second edition. Next game is Pokemon Silver. Donkey Kong Country Land. Tiny Toons. This game, I don't know why it has such a high value to it for its time. I remember checking it a long time ago. It had a $20 value. I don't know what it's worth now, but Heroes 2 of Might and Magic. Arcade Classics. Yes, guys, this is the arcade classic that we get on, PS2 or PS3, all those games combined. Back then, this was 2 games in one. So those are the 2 games that was on that. I got these games off my buddy Fabio, the video game guy in Toronto. The Amazing Spider-Man. and the other game is Spider-Man 3. Just look at that artwork. The artwork was awesome back then, especially for a sticker. They did really good jobs on the artworks. That's one of the things I cherish about the Game Boy's games is the artwork that they put in. Castlevania. So I thought this game when I first got it was going to be worth a ton of money, but it doesn't have that much value, and it's a little cheesier in of a game, but it does a good job um, by playing it. I have not passed this yet, but it was a good game for its time. It had crappy graphics compared to Super Nintendo or the NES, but it did the job. Bart Simpson, Escape from Camp Deadly. I think this is also an episode on The Simpsons. Pokemon Red. I was more of a blue guy. My brother had the red version, but we both used to use that link cable to trade Pokemons. Harvest Moon again. Back from the Sewers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. And more of a rare game now, Turtles 3, Radical Rescue. Another fine WWF game, Superstars 2. You can see the Undertaker just killing the Mountie right there. Bomberman. And we're winding down to the last few games here. So I'm going to keep my 2 favorite games to the end. Final Fantasy Legends. R-Type DX. So I actually recently got this last yard sale season. Fantastic game. And this was, the condition was pretty much prestige. Wario 3. And the last 2 games were absolutely my favorite. Zelda DX. And Pokemon Yellow. And in terms of the 3 games, I actually have four games that are complete in box games for not Super Nintendo. I meant to say Game Boy games are the following: Pokemon Red. I paid $20 for this. Like when I first started collecting, like 8 years back. 10 years. Well, I've been collecting for 10 years, but 8 years ago I got this game. And from the same guy, he actually even had a Pokemon Blue complete in box. Pokemon Silver. He had gold, and I remember my friend bought it. So my friend took that game, I took this game. But in hindsight, going back at it, I wish I had bought all his complete in box Game Boy games because they're so hard to find now. But this guy was just wanted $20 a piece. I was willing to pay that then. I would have even paid $60 a piece if I had known what they were worth. He had crazy games. He had like all the Final Fantasies. He had every single Pokemon game. He had just crazy stuff. But the last game I have is Pokemon Crystal, and I paid $15 for this once again, like 8 years back. The box is in pretty rough shape, but once I got this game, I never opened it because I had the game already loose, just because the tabs were gonna like fall off. But that is my video game collection. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you when we see you next.